Hello, hello. Uh, is everyone enjoying my nice, awesome background? I had to change rooms because my normal office got used up for other reasons. Not trying to divulge too much, but I figured, okay, I'm moving to one of my older offices. JC should know I'm back in the basement, so I figure I might as well set up the banners. I haven't used them in so long, but the problem is because I'm on carpet now, and the things are kind of warped, so everything feels like it's leaning over. Like none of the banners seem straight to me. Maybe I'm just going crazy. Crazy. Yeah. The basement is awesome, and like I'll show you, JC, so you can see it. I still have all the post-it notes up from earlier. The only thing I took down was the Haunted Castle Gaming emblem thing to take that back to my apartment. So my office back home feels a little bit more like an office. But yeah, I got all the post-it up notes up still. I'm thinking I'm gonna be taking them down and starting to work on some other stuff. So we'll see how. Yeah, it's still up there. Where is it? Work on side projects. Feel like it should be up there somewhere. Uh, I don't know. Maybe it's not up there anymore. Did someone take it down? That'd be weird. But yeah, Yeah, I do need a whiteboard. Actually, I have a whiteboard upstairs. Lionel donated one for the office, but I never ended up bringing it down here. I have, we have two. One I gave to my wife because she was teaching virtual school, and it was a lot easier for her to use a whiteboard. And then the other one was put in. Yeah, it's upstairs. So maybe I'll grab that, bring it down here, and we'll go from there. All right. Things for the company. Oh, there is a whole other list, but no, I still don't see it. It's okay. Um. All right. So what are we talking about today? It is the retrospective. We'll get into that a little bit. I'm vamping a little bit until Alex shows up, so I'm a little bit just trying to make the most of the time we've got. I do want to talk about some Patreon things. I never get the opportunity to talk about Patreon too much, so I wanted to talk about what the promos are for next month. So because I gotta put those packages together soon. So everyone is getting that promo Oten, which looks super cool. Oten's a very played card, so having these are gonna be a nice little way to show off in gameplay. I'm curious though, for people who are part of Patreon, do you use your promo cards or do they just sit in a box? Because, in all honesty, I gave you enough of them so that you can put one into your binder and put the rest into your deck. So if you play with Oten, I want to see you start running the Future League Otens. So I want to talk a little bit about what's coming our way. Back in 2019, a small group of us went over to Anime North to do some demos and presentations. And it was really awesome. And we released a series of anime champions during that event. So we had Idris, Malik, and Nubia show up during that event for everyone who was able to attend. They got their copies of these. But there was always one piece of that puzzle that was missing. I mean, there are so many other champions that deserve anime forms, but one of them did get completed by Leslie, and it's going to be part of the Patreon package for next month. It'll look different than all the older anime champions, but it still looks awesome, and it's anime Raha. So I'm really excited to distribute this. This is going to go out to all the Patreon members who are on the higher tiers, so the 20 40 100, those tiers, the ones who get the exclusive, or what do you call them, the exclusive promos. Those ones, those are the people who get the Raha, and then the regular Patreon promo that everyone get is gonna be that Oten. But the Raha looks awesome. It's funny because the Raha was done using modern template for the cards, modern champion templates, modern just everything like that. Where the old like Nubia, you can see. Let me throw that back up on the screen. It's using the beta template, so it looks very different. The text box is very different. Banner sizes are smaller. The symbols are smaller. So I do like how Raha looks, and it looks just so awesome. It ties into that bolt shot image that Leslie had done, and yeah, I'm really excited about that. So hopefully you are too, and that you're looking forward to getting yourself the copy of Anime Raha. Yeah, so that's Patreon over the next little while. So, and then this month will be text version of Anime Raha. Next month will be full art version for Anime Raha. And then maybe at some point I might circle back and redo. No, I don't want to redo the old Anime Champions, but we'll find a way to get a display where they're all done with the same borders and same style, and then have them go out as one succinct unit. But I am curious, what other things would you want to see as Patreon promos, like for the ones that everyone gets, so the commons and uncommons? I'm trying to find the more played meta relevant promos or cards to turn into Patreon promos, because I want them to be cards that you actually play in your deck. So those are things I'm looking at. The other thing I can do while we're waiting for Alex to show up is talk about, this is a bit of that retrospective. Let's talk about things that, some of those mistakes that we found in the set, because there are new ones that are kind of creeping up, and I want to highlight them. We found one of them when we were actually at Dragon World doing the, not the release, yeah, the sealed tournament. So there's one card that we'll have to rate at, and it'll be a typoed version, which will in the future, in the next print run, get cleaned up. And I've already been working on it, and that is, well, all these will get cleaned up in the end. But you got that Revenge of the Phoenix being at action speed instead of swift. It is supposed to be a swift speed. We need to put that up on the errata to talk to people that this one is actually swift speed, because it doesn't function at action speed. It literally can't do what its intention is. So I think it's really important that we eventually fix those. Is there any other ones that you caught? I'd love to know in the chat if you've caught any of these erratas, or is this the first time you're seeing these? So the next one I'm going to be putting up, let me find it. There are a couple of other cards. I'm trying to remember them now. I know there are some that had symbol issues, and we saw the wrong collector number on Fire Cub, the wrong symbols on Shoulder Hop. So let me pull that up. These ones we've known for a little while. So Shoulder Hop had the wrong. It has a summon symbol at the bottom of the card. Need a supply of to scale action swift, etc. sticker sheets. Yeah, it'd be cool to. I think it'd be silly having a little sheet of paper that's like, we're gonna change the speed of this card, but I totally get where you're at. Oh, I think there's another one that comes to my mind. I want to double check it, because I've been told about these, but I haven't double checked them myself. So let's see how this one looks like. So Shadow's Grasp, apparently. Let's pull that up. Yep, it's supposed to be a swift, but it's printed at action speed. So if you want the proper one, go back to Welcome to Jaelara and grab a bunch of those, because they're around. They're not that hard to find. And there was another one. This one is a little bit more minor, but it's definitely still a thing that we got to keep in mind, which was the Pyawad. I think its ability, let me double check it here. Where are you? Yeah, its decay is at continuous instead of at trigger, which again doesn't make sense, because it doesn't continuously lose 1 health. It triggers and loses 1 health. So I don't think a lot of people are going to play with this card improperly, but the other ones, I could definitely see someone playing with those and it not going well. And what else am I... I think those are the major ones. I feel like there's one more that I'm missing. I wish Brad was here. He was the one who's been going through all this and finding all the issues. Uh, but I think those were all the ones that we saw that had some speed issues. Nothing so far with costs, damages, or any of the text. So for the most part, things went pretty smoothly. But I think the big issue... Oh yeah, Martial Sentry, that's right. Brad is here. Good job, Brad. So Martial Sentry, let's bring that up on screen. Oh, here it is, perfect. So this one, the Dark Resistance saying action instead of continuous. So it's funny because one card which was supposed to be trigger was continuous, and another one that was supposed to be continuous is action. And so, at least the benefit was that all the stuff that's supposed to say action are still action, at least, so we don't have the cards being played at the wrong speed. Actually, that's a funny little tidbit and history about Thunderstruck. Thunderstruck was originally designed and formulated to be action speed, and then when we went into printing, we accidentally put it at swift speed. I was like, you know what? The card's fine. Play with it as is. It does not need to be changed. So that was actually a pretty funny little lessons learned, if anything. What else can I talk about? The oh, interesting. I was just looked over at Discord and it shows my icon as I'm streaming, so that's fun to see. What else was I gonna say? Oh, the bundle for Kitchen Table TCG that went live today, and the response has been very positive about it. So I'm excited to see how that kind of plays out and how the community grows. We've been seeing a lot of cool little bubbles of interest around, so I'm really excited to see how everything kind of ties together. What else can I tell you about? There are things that I want to talk about when it comes to the retrospective, but I'm kind of waiting for Alex to come by. I'd like to get his opinion on some of this, but I don't know where he is. I mean, I should have a lot of things to vamp about, right? Okay, so I think one of the biggest lessons learned, and this was more of a positive thing, was how the starter kits kind of came together. It's interesting for me because when I look at a lot of other games, they have a tendency of scaling back their starter kits. They want to make them not on the weak side, but they don't want to put the really good chase things into those decks. And I think that holds the game back a lot of times because the starter kits are supposed to be the entry point for a lot of players. And if you start holding them back from something that makes the games really, really cool, then they don't get the full experience of just the full awesomeness that your game can deliver to them. Part of the reason I'm throwing images up is that way you don't kind of see a blank face and you have more to look at. But the starter kits have been very well received. I love playing with them. I love the fact that both for the Raha and for the Idris deck, getting you the starter kit, you are just getting a scaled down version of some of the more meta competitive decks. So between that and excuse me, 2 booster boxes, you're going to be able to get quite a bit of stuff at your disposal to really ramp up and when you're playing with friends. And the cool thing also is that because of the way the cards kind of get divided, you're going to be working on both of these decks simultaneously when you buy a box, because the cards will get divided evenly between the 4 affiliations. So I think this one has been really outstanding. JC, best starters in other TCGs is still Final Fantasy. Gives 3 copies of all cards and usually a card that is only in the starters. The Genesis ones have just powerful cards, and 2 or 3 smashed together, you can have some powerful little decks. Yeah. No, totally agree. All right, Alex is here, and you don't have to just hear me rambling as much. So, no, I like the way the starter decks have been coming together for Genesis. The D30s are definitely really nice, and how everything is just open and start playing. Hey, Alex.
Hello.
I've been vamping very terribly. I'm sure here's your doorbell. I'm sure everyone who's watching is just like, oh, this is super boring.
But did you vampire kiss? Best vamp.
No, I'm not that awesome. I'm not there yet. But all right. So the whole entire point for today is that we're doing a retrospective, right? We're talking about things that we wish we could have done different and some ways we could have improved on second edition.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Normally we try to do this prep stuff ahead of time, but didn't get to. So we're gonna live prep all of this because we're awesome like that. So let's just kick it off. What is the thing? What is the? Well, let's start with what do you think is the best part about second edition?
Sorry, you cut out there for me. Was the best thing
Yes.
about second edition?
Yeah.
I think the deck choices and the quantities of cards that previously people wanted and needed that they couldn't get, and now they're directly in the starter package.
Yeah. Your video's a little frozen, which is unfortunate. But yeah, like I love the fact that, especially watching the people drafting on Friday, watching the sealed on Sunday, the fact that you like in a limited format, you made decks that were fairly good and fairly reasonable. Like they weren't groundbreaking, they weren't gonna win you like a huge constructed tournament, but it's also not terrible either. So no, I definitely really love that. Cobra Jet, twice as much rares in is the best part. JC again, double rarities. I think it is a good feeling that now you don't have to buy such high quantities of product to get something that is feasible and reasonable to play with.
For sure.
So, all right, now tell me, what is the thing that you felt second edition flopped on?
You could definitely tell that our rush to edit the cards.
Yep.
Errors.
Yep. To fill the dead space, I actually went through and showed people every single card that we made typos on. I was like, this is what we're doing. Yeah, we rushed it. We did not. It was because there was such a high demand and we need to figure something out. It was just a response to the fact that we're growing. And growing pains just suck.
Yeah, so I don't know who said this. Second edition wasn't actually a product planned to exist.
That's
until
true.
we realized we needed it.
Yep.
And we went, we need it, and the printers need all this information right now. All right, 1 week, quickly throw these all into templates.
Yeah.
Quick scan.
That was rough. Because yeah, your video's still frozen. Do you want to like stop your video and start it again? Just for a second, see if that fixes that. But no, it's true. We did not expect what was it? We brought the product to the distributors, all our first edition product, and we expected what, like 50% of it would be sold, and would still be sitting on product for a while. Like that, we'd have to work and sell the product. But it went to the distributors, and we oversold. Like they sold everything, and there was high demand for more product. So it's like, okay, don't want to reprint Beta, J, and Rays because reasons. And then, so it's like, okay, let's create second edition as a cleaner product. Though it's funny because Beta, even though it's it's weaker in some ways in like manufacturing and quantity and distribution and everything, but it did have one thing going for it, where it's the only set without any typos or any issues. It's the only set. Alpha had typos. Alpha had serious typos. Like not gameplay hindering typos, but like some of the cards, the word elemental was written wrong, which is pretty bad. And then Jay had issues with Ryukyu Rabbit was the most infamous in that one, and Ray's had some, not as many, but Beta was the only set that just did not have any typos, any issues. So, yeah. We're learning.
I think J2 would have been fine if we didn't catch the last one this weekend. I would have said the other ones, not serious at all. It's like, oh, this one.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you saw it, but Brad was going through all the cards, double checking them, and he found like they're not as serious, but one of them, Shadow's Grasp, says action instead of swift.
Oh. I think Brad takes the most personal of them all.
I was trying to tell him that it's like, it's okay that we make mistakes. It's okay that we're not perfect on the get-go. But the goal is that we improve, that we're taking steps forward. And his work ethics on trying to make sure that our next print run of second edition is flawless it's very admirable. I think he's taking the right steps. So huge kudos to Brad for all this hard work, because he's really stepping up. And I think moving forward, Origins and other products are going to just be so much cleaner. All right, so let's flip back. What's another positive thing about second edition that you experienced?
Okay, positive thing would have been the accessibility worldwide.
Yep, that is true. Yeah, I don't know if have you been in contact with a lot of communities in different areas, like how the product's going, and so do you have a story?
Oh, sorry, I lost you.
Oh, yeah. Do you have any stories or any anything you want to relay about this worldwide, more international release?
1 second.
We lost Alex. That's very unfortunate. So one of my big wins, I think, for this set was the back and front full art champions. It was actually really interesting for me watching people. Yeah, Alex's video is frozen again. Oh, Alex. All right, you're back?
I'm back.
And so I was saying,
I'm back. Apparently our AC's broken.
Oh no.
Something like that.
That's never a good moment.
Sorry, continue.
So I was saying, one of the things I really loved about second edition was the full art champions, because it's amazing seeing people who have been playing the game for a while now, who have all the champion cards, get excited to pull champions in their packs again. That's something I have not seen since Alpha. When it's like, I haven't seen this champion before. Now I've seen this champion. I have 20 copies of this champion, but this one's special. So
no, I agree.
That was definitely a big one for me. I'm just gonna start throwing up random artwork and stuff onto the screen because your video's frozen again. So we'll do more of a podcast type of thing. All right. What were you saying about where were we? Yeah, your the international release. Was there any story or anything that you heard that made you really excited?
Well, I think just in general, it's exciting to have community growth everywhere. Because there are a lot of small communities here and there in Canada, even some in the States before the big release. But now it's starting to reach outward, and there's new pockets of communities growing, and they're able to talk to each other, which makes it a bigger community.
Yeah. I think like just the growth we've been seeing on Discord, the growth we've been seeing on Patreon, and so many other platforms. It's been really cool. It's been very different compared to in the past. Like now we get to a point where I see really strong engagement on Patreon, which is just, it's a new feeling for me. So I definitely love that. I like the fact going on to that international release. Something that was really nice for me was hearing stores that before were only carrying like one box at a time or two booster boxes. Like they weren't 100% certain on the growth and the future of the game, but they wanted to support me and the efforts I was putting in. And then all of a sudden they now they're talking about, oh, I need to buy a case of this, or two cases of that. It's really cool seeing that kind of growth and having stores reach out being like, we, after so many months, we finally sold out of all our Genesis product overnight. Like they went from doing no sales to massive amount of sales in a short period of time. But then my follow-up is always like, are the people playing on it? Like that's what I want to know. They're not just buying it to resell, right? Are they actually playing? And quite a few stores are telling me that they are. So that part I really love. All right. Do you have another negative?
Say negative or positive?
Negative.
Get out for me again. I'm negative. I'm gonna call it the epics. The epics aren't necessarily that epic. Some of them are. There's some very beautiful ones, and then some of them just literally have a different rare symbol. It's just a red orange, almost look identical.
That's I think the biggest offender is High Dualis. It's definitely on my list. High Dualis. Actually, no, that one's not so bad because of the how bright the colors are. You actually can tell that, oh, this text box is a little bit more see-through. But I think Yamaraja is the worst because the text box isn't more see-through because so literally nothing changed. It looks more or less identical to its rare counterpart.
Yeah.
No, I 100% agree. Like, the whole entire point of epics was to give a obtainable level of collectability in the game, so that and just something that was a little bit different to celebrate some of these rares. Originally, the epics weren't supposed to be replacing commons or uncommons. They were supposed to be replacing the rare, but happy little accident in Welcome to Jaelara, and then they started replacing commons instead. Well, in J2 they replaced an uncommon, but
yes.
Yeah, it's it definitely was not as nice as it's been for other sets. It's a weird balance, right? Because when we got rid of all the text, like we did in Welcome to Jaelara, it was was just a bad idea. Because
I personally like the no text.
Yeah,
I know Will likes the no text as well, but it was new players coming into the game hated it with a passion. That's the real truth about the no, like the full art.
Yeah. Like the issue I saw for I remember being there at a draft for at Black Knight, and someone was drafting. It was literally his first day playing. Like he didn't know the rules very well, and then what happened was he got an epic in one of his packs. He's like, "What does this do?" And at that time, we had no way. Like the pulling up the cards online was super difficult. So I'm like, I can't really tell you. Like, and he's like, all right, I'll just pass on it. It was a separate part extension, so it wasn't the end of the world, but it was very unfortunate that his first pack, he pulled an epic, he was all excited, and it's like, oh, so I just kind of passed this then, and took the rare instead. He's like, at least I can play with this. So, yeah, I think there needs to be that kind of middle ground between, showing off more art and having the reminder text. So JC says Yamaraja should only have had the reminder text on knowledge assimilation. The issue there was that Resurrect Beckon is so much of its play rules are different than a regular Beckon that for a new player who sees Resurrect Beckon won't intuitively know what it is. Like, I can understand removing just the Beckon ability because so many cards have Beckon that you'll have a common in that pack that tells you what the Beckon ability does, and so an advanced player can help you. But like Resurrect Beckon, what's the only other Resurrect Beckon in J2 is Yamaraja. Yamaduta. If I'm correct.
Yamaduta. Yeah.
So unless your pack has both Yamaraja and Yamaduta, you won't actually know what Resurrect Beckon does. So that's the
Sure.
reason why it had to be in there for the Epic, which is unfortunate. But we do have plans for trying to make Epics more epic in the future. I'm not giving up on this concept. I'm not giving up on it. Oh, Casmodon! Good call, Steven. I did forget about Casmodon.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Probably the best Resurrect Summon. Yeah, it's the best.
Yeah.
Yamaduta is the most playable. Casmodon is the best.
Yeah.
Cobra Jet says on YouTube, if alpha beta box prices go to the moon, will you buy a Lamborghini and make a from my garage video? So I don't get anything if the alpha beta boxes prices increase, right? Like none of that goes to Haunted Castle Gaming. That's purely secondary market at that point.
So what I think a lot of you guys don't understand is Sid's got nothing. Sid doesn't have boxes.
Yeah.
To sell.
Oh my goodness.
That's what they don't get. They don't get that you don't have any.
Yeah. Who was I talking to? I was talking to someone, and they're like, "Yeah, I want to get some boxes," and I was like, "I hope you understand. I only have personally one sealed beta box, and the only reason I have that is because I gave it to JC and forgot that he had it." And I was talking to him, and he's like, "Yeah, I have some boxes. He had one J, one beta, and one Raise, which were mine, but he was holding on to them to give to Black Knight if they ever need a restock." So I was like, "Okay, I'll go grab those." But there was a moment where I had literally no more beta product. I had 2 starter kits. I still have 2 starter kits, but my personal Genesis collection, and when I say personal, I include Haunted Castle Gaming. We have 2 beta starter kits, 1 beta booster box, 1 J2 Raise, and then the 2nd edition stuff. So I do not have any of this stuff for myself. And even then, I feel weird being the CEO of the company, like selling this stuff on eBay for however much it's worth, because it feels like I just cheated the system. I created a product, inflated its cost, and then sold it so I can have a huge profit margin. That's not why I started this company. My philosophy has always been, let's make the game accessible. Let's get players playing the game. So, no, it's not my thing. If the way I will get the money to get a really nice car is by making a very successful game and a very successful company and earn it from the merits of how awesome Genesis is. So that's my long explanation of no.
Now that being said, do you wanna say anything about Alpha at all? A little tweezer for might be coming for a lucky winner in a long.
No, we'll leave
road?
that. We'll leave that. We'll leave that.
Okay, they can think on that because I said that. Think on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So JC brought it up a few times, but the foils, doing foilings. So this has been a roller coaster of a topic. So, do you want to walk through as much as you remember about doing foiling?
About what specifically?
Like
everything?
Like why we put it in, our experience of like seeing it done, and just like the entire journey.
Entire journey. Well, everybody likes foils. That's the starting point, I would say. So I'll go from we went to the factory that printed our products onto the foils, everything like that. They cut it for us. Everything was fine there. Just trying to think. There was no issues really until we finally got all the product in hand. That was the first time we had a curling issue. Yeah. Otherwise, up until that point, when we were at the warehouse, we saw the foils done. It took time for essentially moisture to affect the curling of the foils. And then from there, we were in panic mode for a while. Or at least I know I was. I'm going to assume Sid was in panic mode too. Because we one of our goals was to not.
Oh, you cut out.
Not have curling foil. One of our 100% our goals. And we were like, we're going to make sure that this doesn't happen. And we're like, cool, we got foils. We saw them off the line. They're not curling. They're great. Get sent product. Crack open product. Get a foil. What?
Yeah.
Oh no. And then we were like, how did this happen? Did something happen to them? Why is it like this? We reach out to the, I like to say manufacturers and printers. Reach out to the manufacturers a whole lot, being like, oh no, girls, pretty much essentially is what we said. And they're like, what can we do about this type of thing? And then they went into panic mode to figure out why they're curling. And then there was a rabbit mode of doing tests. I was throwing foils in a refrigerator. Don't ask why, I just did it. Just a bit of mad science here and there. You want to take it from there? Because there's a lot of back-end stuff going from the manufacturers and what they had to say and going from here to there.
Yeah. So the one thing that was really interesting for me is that when I told them that the curling was happening, they're like, no, everything looks fine, because they still had some of the foils in their warehouse. They're saying that the foils look fine on their end. And then I was like, try taking some home. So they ended up taking some home outside of the factory and it started curling. And it went to show that, you know, their factories were kind of more in the pristine conditions, and it wasn't showing them the truth of like carrying cards out into the wild. So they went to the company they sourced to do the foiling. And then when they came back from there, it turned out that there was a mistake done on their end, and they recognized it instantly, and they're like, okay, we know what our problem was, we won't let this happen again. And then they printed out a test sheet of what was supposed to be like the correct settings for the foiling, printed that out, cut it, and sent us copies. And those ones, much more reasonable, but still not perfect. And now we're going back and forth, and we're still trying to figure out everything. But I think the thing that really changed my mind was when we started seeing streamers open up foiling on their end. So Ben and, you know, there's just a million people, DM Armada, Red Zone Rogue, and all these other YouTubers who started creating content. And it turned out that what we thought was like the end of the world issue, they were reasonable about it. They knew it wasn't ideal, but it wasn't as end of the game feeling that we thought it was for a little while. I think we definitely had a sense that we messed up so bad that second edition was just not a sellable product. It wasn't. It was gonna kill the company, and we got dramatic. We got very dramatic. And I remember Chris being like, "What are you guys talking about? I don't understand this. Explain it to me." It was bad, but we can definitely improve. However, it just means that the current foils are really about casual play. If you're playing casually and no one's super intense about it, then it should be fine. And then when you're going to a big tournament, like a championship or something like that, we'll give you the replacement for your foils, so you don't have to play with your foils, so that we don't have people calling you out on like marking your deck or whatever as a cheater. We'll have fair play. And we did the same thing with the full arts for Welcome to Jaelara, right? I remember someone bringing like a full art Kabas, and we gave him like a text version so that he didn't have to, so that everyone knew what he was playing with. So yeah, it was definitely a really big journey doing the foilings. I think there was still huge pros in it. People love the foils. People love getting the foil pack. That's definitely really excited, and everyone's kind of hunting for that. But at the same time, it was not as smooth of an operation as we were hoping. Now, all things said,
I feel like when we talked about Jay, we were like, "Oh, this is just an easy product. It's a simple product. We know everything that's in it. It's just, we're just gonna print it. It'll be easy. New people can get into it." And then it was just like fire.
yeah, that was and it just didn't stop either. Like even now with distribution and everything, we're still learning kind of the where we could have improved and how we can increase communication channels. So that was cool. And then a different thing was going in the line of communication channels. So I'm infinitely grateful to everyone who created content and helped promote second edition. Stacks Gaming for doing card of the day. If you're not following them on Instagram, you should go do that. Ben for all his amazing videos. Scheming Skeleton for what he's doing. I love everything they're doing, but we also learned that we need to put content out there for not just for people who are brand new to the game, but also people who are experienced in the game and what they should be excited about. Because I remember getting into this. So if for people who don't know who Will is longtime player, huge collector, and very active member of the community. So we actually thought, I know like at least from my perspective, I'm not gonna speak for Alex, but at least from my perspective, I thought he was gonna see second edition and be like, why should I bother with this? Like I have everything already. But that was not the case. He's super excited about it. Like
talking to him yesterday, he bought a lot. Talked to him yesterday, he bought a lot.
Yeah, and that's a really good thing to know because like it's a good feeling set when it comes to opening up packs and just building decks. Yeah, Stevens. That's what happens when your box character is a fire horse. A lot of people really loved really loved that artwork. I really miss having Remiana in team. She was such a good artist and such a nice person. But we'll get her back one day. Every like 6 months or so, I send her a message. I'm like, so are you coming back yet? Are you coming back yet? So she hasn't forgot about us. I can say that. Another thing, I really am still trying to find the right way to approach it, which are the token cards. Token cards, aura cards, stuff like that. Because I wouldn't say that there is no demand for the aura cards. A lot of people think that like the aura cards are completely irrelevant, but there are still players who really very much enjoy using the aura cards. And on top of that, I think that it's also really good for brand new players to have all the tools accessible to them without having to pull out extra things. So having them in the starter kit is nice. Then getting a few in your packs, or you go from playing Idris to Nubia, you can get that extra 25 aura. So yeah, but at the same time, there's a lot of times where people open up packs and the token card gets thrown to the side, and I'm like, oh, that's sad. That's sad for me. What's something else on your mind that you're like, I would revise or do differently?
Packaging for the versus decks.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. We did not see that coming. Like neither of us thought about that until you got your product.
So it happened.
Yeah, it happened, and it was like, oh, how did we not see this coming?
So for everybody else, the versus deck, it's just a slightly weaker cardboard than the booster boxes, and just that minute difference between the two. While it was packaged from some distributors, wherever it got packaged, if it was packaged with something else that wasn't Genesis, which is what distributors do, and they don't just sell one product, it would mangle the versus decks. The booster boxes handled this fine, but the versus decks, they didn't like. The versus decks did not like being with other people. They didn't like to share the room.
Yeah.
And they got mangled a bit. Yeah.
And I was talking to our manufacturer about that and trying to see if we could do something better for the second print run. And he was like, the solution they proposed, I think it's something I'd like to explore for future sets, which is just make the boxes tighter. Like there's a lot of empty space in those boxes. Scaling them down a little bit and maybe like curving them or doing something so that there's less just empty space. And I'm like, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it was just so unfortunate. And then there were also some booster boxes that got minor damages. Very few. Like I know Steve-O got a booster box that the corner got damage in that shipping process.
That's just for those type of things. I would say that's just regular shipping process, not necessarily our side or something to control. Because I can tell you, I've gotten Magic products, Pokemon products, Yu-Gi-Oh products. They get damaged sometimes. Yeah. But you said it was only like the one box, right?
It was just the one box. Yeah. Yeah. Not the end of the world, but it wasn't ideal. Yeah. I think that was really fun. Something that I would definitely change for the future is the way we do the box hopper promo. So the behind the scenes of that was just such a bad experience. Because then we had to coordinate and find all the stores that got that needed the box hopper promos, figure out how much, and then figure out a way to get it to them. And like, I was so busy with the release that I forgot for a short period of time, and then I had to express ship a bunch of them to make sure that they got there before the launch of the set. That was not a pleasant experience. But I am happy we did it though. That's something I would like to continue doing, but just the way we approached that was definitely a huge lesson learned. Let's talk about something.
Question for you.
Okay, go for it.
Question for you. So we like the buy a box promos, but it was actually a pre-order promo.
Yes.
Was the pre-order process a success?
Yes and no. It was good for both the distribution and for us to be like the nice part on my end was being able to ping the distributor and be like, okay, what does our sales look like right now? And having some sort of level of encouragement where he was saying, you know, months before the launch, we knew we had pre-sold about 50% of the inventory, and it's like that felt really good because we had a good gauge on the demand of the product and did we print enough. Now that didn't stay true throughout the entire process, but in those early months before we launched, we had a good like pulse on what we were doing, where the demand was, which distributors were really excited about the product. That was good. I just wish there was a little bit more transparency working with the distributors. But I get it. Everyone has their own business and business policies, and they can't just give you all the data. They need to hold some stuff back. So there are definitely pros and cons to that. It was enough pros that I will continue to do this process. I would definitely continue to do that. What I would like to do though is if we ever have a product in the future, I think the first print runs for every product, we should look into getting a box topper promo for it, but actually put it into the boxes to make those first print runs just have something that's a little kitschy and nice to have.
Sure.
But having a secondary promo that stores can get, as long as they have strong communication with us, because that's the big thing we want, right? We want our stores to connect with us and let us know how they're doing, how the community is growing, where their strengths and weaknesses are. And then having a second promo, kind of like we did with Blackfire, that it's like, okay, you get the Brooks for having the for buying the boxes, but then you get the Anguish Flame for having a good relationship with us, and then that way we have some more we have an opportunity to help those stores more. So that's, I think, how I would do it. Yes, JC, Anguish Flame. I'm actually really surprised how it's interesting how there's certain cards that on release are not in demand a lot, not very interesting. There's a very small play space for it, and then just shortly after, those cards become very desirable. Dodge is the one that's my biggest story. Is like in alpha, no one cared for Dodge. In beta, no one cared for Dodge. And then all of a sudden in Welcome to Jaelara and Raise, Dodge's demand became a little bit higher. And now it's at a point where I think it's difficult to still run decks. But
I've never seen a player take dodge anymore, unless it's a Stampeding Force style deck.
yeah, but cards like ebb and flow in their demand. They're not like, there aren't a lot of cards that are just 100% like, well, there are, but they got replaced. But for the most part, there aren't a lot of cards that are just like, this card is completely useless. There's a space for them. It's only some of those alpha beta cards that are just 100% just not good. Anyways, let's swing back to another positive about the set. What's something in the past few weeks that let's go to the experience you've noticed about players opening packs. What is something that you thought was a really cool story or moment that shows?
I don't think I need a specific story or moment, because it is just 100% obvious. When somebody opens a J2 pack compared to any pack before it, it just feels good. And you can tell that they feel good. And if they've recently opened a previous pack, they're like, they know how great this feels opening a J2 pack.
Yeah. I remember, so my first, the story that comes to my mind was the first time watching JC and Steve-O open up packs. And we did a pack war where we put the commons on top and we're flipping them over. And it's like seeing who's got the better comments. And we got to the uncommons and I was doing a little bit better. And then we got to the last uncommon and JC's like, Epic Giant Scorpion. And we're like, yep, you won that. And just the feeling of like you're comparing rares and just what you're getting in, it feels so much more just a really good quality. And then another story I have was when just watching the players draft and someone draft a pack where it was one of those like really nice pairing combinations, something like I can't remember what it was. I know there was a Gilded Stag in there. There was an Epic Puppet Control and something else. Or like a Chrono Walker or something crazy like that. And it's just like, what do I pick? And it's like, it's a pain in draft, but at the same time, it's one of those interesting fun pains that you should have in a draft. Where you have to pick what is the best of these amazing options. Not what is the best of these worst options. So I like that. How was it opening the packs to do the sealed?
Sealed was amazing because it really felt like everybody was playing just a decent deck.
Yeah, right?
If that makes sense. Like everybody had, at least 4 rares for whatever. At a minimum, I would, and from what I saw, was playing while playing a game. I'm cutting in and out here.
Yeah, I think I'm cutting in and out too.
Oh yeah, waiting for a live video signal. Uh-oh.
Yeah. All of a sudden my internets are going crazy slow. It should be coming back now.
Yeah, it's back up.
Okay. So you're saying, yeah, everyone had like 4 or 5 rares. I think the decks were a lot more interesting. It didn't feel like you were playing just like niche or janky decks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like you normally see in a sealed, where it's just like you're playing with whatever came your way. You don't have a lot of choice. Like some of the decks we saw had some crazy rares. I remember watching one person play. Round 1 drops a Lightless, and his opponent struggles, defeats it, and he's like, okay. Then right after his Lightless dies, he drops a Giant Scorpion and what was it? Another crazy rare. But it was just like you had several massive creatures come your way, and a decent amount of angels in there too. Like it wasn't just, oh, whoever had that one angel is gonna win. No, multiple people had angels. Some people, like, it wouldn't be unreasonable to see someone have multiple angels in the sealed. Now, did you shuffle the packs before you gave them out, or did you give them out straight from the box?
They were just straight from the box.
Okay.
I didn't shuffle.
Good, because I was gonna say I was hoping to catch you before you did that, because if you shuffled the packs, the issue you might have there is that one person might get multiple of the epics. The epics are evenly distributed in the box, So if you shuffle them up, you
Yeah.
could have had one person having all the epics, which would not have been a good feeling for some
Me?
people.
I'd like to say Darren had 3 Chrono Walkers in it. 2
I had
regulars
2.
and an epic. Somebody did. I know somebody had 3. They had 2 and an epic. Something like that.
That's crazy. Like I had 2. I had a regular and an epic, and like I had 2 Chrono Walkers, 2 Papa Controls, and just a whole bunch of stuff that was just crazy rares. And it felt really good. You were not just playing with these weak decks. You got some pretty decent stuff. So overall, given all the typos, manufacturing issues, curling foils, what would you rank the entire set? Like comparing to the previous.
I still think compared to the previous set, it's the best. Okay. Okay. So Raze goes last.
Okay.
Sorry, Raze. No. Anybody who loves Raze out there, Raze is my last. It's always last. I'm gonna put Alpha after that just because I don't really have it, but it seems like a treasure to get. So there's a want to it from everybody. So maybe it should be at the top. I don't know. But I'm sure Alpha people would actually be like, no, that stuff's garbage. Don't get it. It's all damaged. Terrible cards. Then it's Welcome, and then it's Beta for me. Beta was when I started, so it has a place in my heart. And then it's J2. J2 is still up. J2 tops it all, no matter what, because it just the feel, like everything about it is better, even though there's a lot of issues. But like when you look at some of the issues, foils didn't exist before that. So if you remove foils from the box and you compare it, it's still an amazing product. It's like epics existed before. Epics and Rays were roughly about. They were sort of had the same issue. I think were they a bit cleaner in Rays? I'm trying to remember.
Was Rays slightly different? They had the ability name, but they didn't have any reminder text.
Yeah. But I'll say Rays had the better. Welcome to Jay had the best epics. And then it goes Rays, then J2. So in that pattern. But I just don't like Rays. Not that Rays is bad. And you can see that from J2. Rays is why J2 is so good. There's a lot of rares in Rays that really just land on that. Could be an uncommon, could be a rare. And they all made it to rare in Rays. But in J2, they're all in commons, and that's why it feels great. Yeah.
No, that's true. I think Raze was designed to be like a purely support set. And with it combined with Welcome to Jaelara, that's where you get the full value of it. So, yeah, it really does feel like you're opening up a Raze pack and a Welcome to J pack combined. Yeah. And then I think my order, I would agree. Raze as a solitary set is on the lowest end. And then above that would be okay, I'll put Beta above that, and then Welcome to J, Alpha, and then J2. I do think J2 is probably my favorite set because it feels the most like an actual collectible card game now. It's checking off all the boxes of being an actual game that deserves to be on the market. The reason why I like Alpha so much is because the tempo of Alpha was a lot cleaner. Because one, the product was so low, so no one had, an obscene amount of anything. Also, despite the fact that I hate that we did this, Alpha did have a 4th rarity level, and that included all the H's. So Angels only showed up. They were the original epics: Angel, Primordial, Demon Scrolls, and Purifying Wave. And you only got one of those every 8 packs. So there were rarer rares. So I hated that we did that. But the advantage is that no one could build an Angel deck. Those didn't exist.
Yeah.
So the way Genesis was played was very different. And that's why, like, the Flaming Scorpion deck
Yeah.
that was so prominent and so awesome, but also why Rain OTK just didn't exist. So Alpha had a very interesting feel to it, but if you're not looking for that nostalgic, like how the game was played when it was created type of feel, J2 is just hands down. It feels so nice as a. It's the thing that kind of wants me to get back into playing more Genesis. I've had a huge hiatus, as Alex, scolds me for, and J2 does want me to, like, I want to get back to playing on the table after the mask mandate is lifted, like when it's safer out there. The Delta variant still terrifies me to no end, but
yeah.
After that, like, I'm definitely looking towards wanting to get a lot of games in and play with some foils, even though it's they're not perfect, but I still want to play with them.
All right, I got one more. No, I got one.
Okay.
So J2's here. Origins.
What about Origins?
Coming soon. The Origin set. I'm gonna say. I'm predicting A Origins is gonna be above J2. That's my prediction. I'm calling it now.
So Origins does clean a lot of things. I mean, we can't give too much away right now, but what can I say about Origins that is it gonna be better than J2? Like, part of me is like, I think it is a step better in a lot of ways, but it's not a vast step better. It's not like going from a complete, like, it's not like going from Raze to Origins.
Yes.
Going from G2 to Origins is a much, much cleaner step.
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah.
No, I agree. I'm not saying there's a big gap. I'm just saying it's going to be above J2. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I think it will give a lot of things to the game that players have been looking for a very long time. So I think Origins is definitely something that's worth. It's gotten to just be phenomenal. Yeah. I was gonna say something, then it kind of slipped my mind. I'm here this entire conversation, like, trying to find artwork to put up on the screen so it's not super boring to look at. And then I realized, oh, we have all these GIFs that are made by Mikhail, so I might as well start showing those because I really love the Angel Retribution. Like, he did just such a good job with that. I guess it would have been really bad for me to say that no, Origins is not going to be better than J2. That would have been just terrible.
We believe in honesty. Because you could easily say that I think Origins isn't going to be as good as J2 because J2 encompasses the best of 3 sets.
Yeah,
that's the honest truth. That's like looking at J2. We took the best of 3 sets.
That's true, and on top of that, we have knowledge behind how good these cards were. There's not as much data behind the race cards, but for Welcome to Jaelara and for Beta, we know what the best cards were of those sets. It's very easy for us to, like, cut some stuff out or promote other things. But for Origins, there are definitely some cards coming in there that we're a bit blind on. Are these going to be good, or are these going to fall to the wayside? Like, Selective Amnesia. Like, I was expecting Selective Amnesia to be such a played card, super valuable, all this stuff, and then it's just not there. It's a great sideboard card, but it's not there for main deck. So we are running a little bit blind for Origins, but at the same time, that's kind of the excitement about it. If we didn't go in blind with Welcome to Jaelara, we never would have known about if we had known about the Rain OTK too early on, we would have changed a lot of Welcome to Jaelara, and then I feel like that would have made the game worse. So, yeah, there are definitely areas where we could, where Origins has its weaknesses. Anyways, let's wrap this up. Any last thoughts as we talk about second?
Just hope everybody's enjoying J2 now that we talked about the worst things about it and the good things.
No,
go out, enjoy your J2.
Yeah, the community at Kitchen Table TCG, it seems like they're really excited. They're talking. There's a lot of interest on that end, and I'm pumped for more communities to start coming together, talking about deck design, talking about. I'm gonna drop a little bit of a teaser. I hope he doesn't mind, but Scheming Skeleton is gonna be putting out a video soon, which I think is gonna be absolutely amazing. So just having more people talk about the game beyond just opening packs, but actually talking about what the game is really about. So I'm really excited about that. Cool. All right, that's it for today. Thank you everyone who joined, and we will catch you next week, hopefully with a little bit more prep time and a little bit more Alex. All right, have a good night. Bye.
Bye.